Can anybody tell me why the New Zealand government is doing this? From One News, youth unemployment climbs to highest level in more than 30 years. The number of unemployed young New Zealanders has climbed to its highest level in more than 3 decades, according to recent figures from Stats New Zealand. Figures showed 17.3% of 15 to 24-year-olds were unemployed in the year to March, up from 16% the previous year. So clearly, there is a big problem here. A problem that I believe the government should have already been fixing, because a problem this size can easily snowball into something bigger. If young Kiwis just simply start giving up because they keep seeing how everything is being stacked against them, then that is not good for society, and other bigger problems might arise which can even become generational. And it's not even an exaggeration to say that everything is being stacked against young Kiwis. Not so long ago, if a young person couldn't immediately get the job that they wanted, they could find a starter job. Even these low-skilled and low-wage starter jobs enabled young people to be able to afford rent so they could move out to the parents' home. Even if it was only into shared housing with their friends, they could do this while they saved up to buy their own place. This well-trodden path for Kiwis over the years is almost gone now, and unless you have wealthy parents who have benefited from the Ponzi in some shape or form, then you are in trouble. And what we should never forget is that this didn't happen by accident. This happened by design. Successive governments created this situation. And at this exact moment in time, what is really needed is an acknowledgement by the New Zealand government that what they and their successors have done is wrong and needs addressing. So with that in mind, and with everything so obviously stacked against young Kiwis, what has Christopher Luxon decided to do? Well, this is what he's decided to do. A disastrous Indian free trade deal where there are obvious winners and obvious losers. And as usual, the main winners are Luxon's mates, the employers and the landlords. After all, more bodies means more options for employers, which means cheaper labour. And more bodies also means more demand for rentals, which should keep his landlord friends happy and his precious Ponzi well-oiled for the foreseeable future. Now, the other winners are Modi, who has been desperately trying to find a solution to India's unemployment problem, and the lucky Indian folk who will soon arrive in New Zealand on brand new gold-plated visas. Unusually, this trade agreement is not really just about trade, but instead is heavily slanted towards the one-way movement of people from India to New Zealand. Now, we can see this in the new people mobility rules of the trade agreement. For instance, there is a temporary employment entry visa, which gives 5,000 Indian professionals the right to live and work in New Zealand for 3 years. Now, they tell us these Indian professionals might come from IT, engineering, healthcare, education, or construction backgrounds. But they also tell us that they may also come from culturally specific professional backgrounds, including Indian chefs, yoga instructors, music teachers, and Ayush practitioners, which is a form of traditional and non-conventional healing that Modi absolutely loves. Now, there is also another new visa, the Working Holiday Scheme visa, where the New Zealand government will offer 1,000 positions annually to 18 to 30-year-old Indians to do work that should have and could have been available for young out-of-work Kiwis. But the new rule in this trade agreement that I believe basically finishes off young Kiwis' hopes and dreams is the removal of numerical caps on Indian student numbers, and the ironclad guarantee that each of these students can work for 20 hours per week legally, and I stress legally here, because I've got no doubt that some of these students will work more than 20 hours per week illegally. But I'm not as naive as our government appears to be. So what this means is that all of the jobs that young Kiwis used to have available for them to help them get on their feet, like working in a pizza shop, for example, or a cafe, a restaurant, a local clothes shop, working in a supermarket, or simply picking fruit, will now all be taken up by others. And let's be real here, many of these jobs will be taken by students who have only come to New Zealand to study so they can get work in New Zealand. Much of the money earned will be sent home and will be no benefit to New Zealanders. But I think that the one aspect of all of this betrayal by the New Zealand government that really makes me feel the most nauseous is the fact that our young Kiwis are not just going to be in competition with young Indian students for work. They will also be up against middle-aged Indian students because this government has put no age cap on any of these students. So think about what that actually means. A 40-year-old truck driver in India who cannot get a job in India because there's not many jobs in India right now could sign up for some phony New Zealand course and then go on to get a driving job in New Zealand and carry out 20 hours of legally paid work per week. Now spread this across all professions. You could have people out of work in India who can't get a job in their chosen trade. So what do? They just come and become a student in New Zealand and go and work 20 hours per week and probably get paid more than they would have in India doing full time. Now think about what that actually means. It might not just be young people being affected after all. Your job might be affected too. In fact, any number of jobs could be under threat here. Now this is why National Labour and the ACT Party need to be dumped at the next elections. For far too long now, they've been throwing your average Kiwis under the bus for the sole benefit of their rich friends, but to now see them throwing young Kiwis under the bus for their new global friends is a step too far for me. And let me be clear about this. None of this is the fault of the ordinary Indian people who simply want to improve their and their families' lives. That is a natural thing to do, and any of us would do the same given the same opportunity. The problem is that they should not have been given this opportunity until that opportunity has been seriously offered to young Kiwis. And if any business out there says that they have looked for a Kiwi but couldn't find one suitable, then it is time for a thorough audit of that business. And I mean thorough. The pay must be looked into. The working conditions must be looked into. And if that business tends to just employ a certain demographic above all others, then this must also be seriously looked into and questions need to start being asked. So young Kiwis deserve a fair go, people. Obviously, National Labour and ACT have decided that that is not really one of their priorities. So if you care about young Kiwis and are concerned about the current trajectory that the UNIPARTY, which is both National and Labour, has us going down, then perhaps it's time for a complete change of direction. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one.